Uh, from day one, the whole reason I've wanted to do Mouth of South or really anything, it doesn't matter if I'm playing music or going to work or going to the grocery store, the highest call in any circumstance is to minister to people about the heart of God and the good news of Jesus Christ. So yeah, as much as I love playing music, and I love heavy music, and I enjoy running this band as a business. Above all of that, it's all about Jesus, because that's what's going to be left at the end of the day. There's going to come a day when no one cares about metal music or knows who Mouth of the South is. So like I said, although I'm grateful for this specific outlet, it's not about any of that stuff for me, or at least, that's why I try to keep my heart out with it. Man, it can be hard. It can be really hard, being kind of detached from your support group. But it's just like staying present in the other guys' life and like asking them like, hey, how have you been doing lately, like with your faith? Like, have you been feeling distant, or is there anything like that you've been dealing with? So just those kinds of conversations, and just like try and stay motivated with like spiritual disciplines geared towards intimacy with Christ. So like staying in prayer and staying in the Word. So yeah.
Well, I was raised in like a Christian home. My dad was a worship pastor and was in ministry from before I was born. So I was always introduced into Christianity and knew what that was. When I was 4, I did the sinner's prayer and that kind of stuff. I didn't really have any idea what that meant, really. I just kind of learned how to. I learned how to talk like a Christian, but I didn't really know what that meant, how it like applied to my actual life until I was like 17. And the first show I played with Mouth of the South, we played with Fourth Today, and it's just a really small venue in Texas before they got big. And just the way they presented the gospel was like the first time that I'd heard the gospel a lot, but that was the first time I had felt the gospel and felt like the Lord moving in that. And then it wasn't, but like maybe 2 weeks after that, that was kind of like the initial starting to move me towards God. And like 2 weeks later, a friend of mine that was like really heavy into drugs and stuff like that. Though at the time of my life, like I was into partying and all that kind of stuff, but for some reason I just never got involved with drugs. Like I don't know, it was just like one of those, the one thing that I like held on to with my faith was like, I'm not gonna do drugs, but I was drinking, smoking, and doing all sorts of different stupid stuff. But he sat down with me and started talking to me about how like the Lord had really gotten a hold of his life. And for some reason, for a couple years, I'd been praying for him, even though my walk was like non-existent. It was just like I knew to pray for people, and so it was probably out of pride more than it was genuineness. But I was still praying for him for like a year or two, and he came up and started talking to me about how the Lord had gotten a hold of his life and that he was gonna quit doing drugs and just like be sold out for God. And that was just like absolutely incredible to me. It was like an hour-long conversation. We just like were sitting there, and I could just feel the presence of God there. And it was like the first time that I like really felt the Lord like being an actual physical like presence. And so like a week after that, I left on a mission trip that my brother was doing and just kind of like started trying to live for God. So I think that was when I was like 17 was when the Lord like really got a hold of me and revealed himself to me as an actual presence, I guess. On that mission trip that I was talking about, I was like 6 months long, and during that time the Lord just really kind of solidified that this was what I was supposed to be doing. Because I had joined the band and it wasn't like really focused on ministry at all at the first part of it, but that I played like 2 shows and then went on this trip. And during that trip it was like the Lord used like for today's example and stuff like that to be like, yeah, this is what I'm calling you to do. This is where your life direction is going. And so regardless of how like hard it's been at times with family and friends, and now that I'm married and stuff like that, it gets hard to leave and keep going, but I just know this is where the Lord has called me, and I try to be as faithful as I can.